Wakanda forever. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to title this video a fear. And why fear when I just made a video about being fearless? Because I noticed something recently, or just the other day, that I like to watch a lot of movies. I like to watch movies that move and inspire me. And I watch movies for entertainment value, and then sometimes I bump into movies that I really wasn't looking for, but I ran across them and watched them anyway. And so I saw a movie the other night, and then I watched it again. And there was a line in the movie where this father was telling his son that people are afraid of what they don't understand. And while that is true, people really are afraid of many, many things. And in fact, war and division and everything going on in the United States and around the world right now is spurred on by a kind of fear that is making people angry. It's not like, the kind of fear that someone might think of having jumping out of an airplane. Now, that is a particular kind of fear, of thinking about whether you're going to, that parachute is going to open or not. The exhilaration and the adrenaline rush of fear. That's another kind of fear that you actually feel in your body. But the kind of fear that seems to be spreading worldwide right now is very angry and very hateful. This was the reason, one of the reasons why I went stealth around that business. And I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and first of all, one person asked me, why, with everything going on with and around black men in the United States, why on earth would you choose to transition from female to male? And one more time, I had to explain that this was not a choice for me. If it was a choice, I wouldn't have made it. See, it affected my body so much. It affected my psyche and my emotions and energy level to fight it. Because I fought this for 3 years. No way in hell, when I looked around at how people were treating transgender people, did I choose to be something that so many people feared and hate and brutalize and murder and are afraid of, and all the things that go along with being a black male. Do people really consciously think that we sit around and say, wow, I think it'll be really cool to be a black man? No, that is not the way it worked. Not at all. And, I was afraid of more things than that before I transitioned. And it wasn't until I was maybe 3 or 4 months into it that I realized, oh my God, all of the things that are indicative and particular to the way black men are treated in the United States is going to happen to me. And I didn't fully think of it that way when the thought crossed my mind that I am a black man. In fact, I wasn't even fully conscious of all the implications of that until sometime at the end of 2016. Yeah, so I was about a year in when I realized, oh shit, everything that happens around black men is going to happen to me. Yes, I've been out in public and standing behind a woman and had her clutch her purse, especially if she was a non-black woman, especially if she was a white woman. Yes, I have almost got into a incident in my apartment complex with the police because this white guy turned around and saw a black man and started screaming and yelling, and his face turned beet red. And all of the things that black men have been going through. Now, black women go through their fair share of bullshit too. So I've been through all of that, and now I'm going through what it's like to be a black man in America. And no, it ain't cute. It ain't fun. There's nothing about it that would make somebody wake up one day and decide to be one. No, I've been one all my life. It's just people are afraid of what they don't understand. They don't understand this. They don't understand that I no more chose this than I chose to be attracted to women. I don't turn on my loins intentionally. Does anybody? Did you choose to be straight? No, it was just there, right? So nobody chooses to be same-sex gender loving either. Nobody chooses to be bisexual. Nobody chooses to be gay, lesbian, straight. Nobody chooses that. It's either there, or you spend all of your life trying to get rid of it. Or you have crap like shock therapy treatments and shit like this, trying to knock what religious people say is the devil in us. They're saying the same thing about transgender people. You know, something's medically wrong, something's mentally ill about them, something is this, something is that. People are running for cover, all the bathroom hysteria, which started with black people, by the way. It just got transferred to the LGBT world back in the 1970s and 80s, probably the 60s too, latter 60s. And then it turned around, then the establishment turned around and directed that arrow at transgender people and created the exact same hysteria around black people being in the bathrooms as gay people being in the bathrooms, as now transgender people being in the bathrooms. People are afraid of what they don't understand. And the issue is that they're not seeking understanding. They go off of what they're told, what somebody whispered to them, what blah, 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 blah. They are not researching who we are and what we're about. No more. They judge first. That is the first inclination, is to judge, to run through rackets up here in the brain, and depending on what's up there, get angry about it, get sad about it, get withdrawn about it, get depressed about it, get crazy about it. I mean, people have all sorts of reactions to fear. Some people are really quiet, fearfully quiet. Some people are fearfully loud. Some people are fearfully somewhere in between. But today, there's this whole generation and a whole, not even generation, because it's running through all the generations that are alive today, that it's pissing them off, this fear. And people are afraid of what they do understand. I want you to think about that. The fact that the demographics in the United States is going to change in the next 20 years, a little over 20 years. people are so afraid of that. I just saw a comment in a video today by a white guy who said, you know, when those demographics change, they're going to wage genocide on us. That is the irrational fear that we're even going to be able to have the numbers and the power and the control and the arms and the money and all the things that would take to wage a war and commit genocide against white people. They are afraid we're going to do to them what they've done to us. Makes no freaking sense, and it's irrational, but try to tell that to the people who believe it. They don't believe it. Oh, and then you've got, so on one hand, you've got all this racist fear crap. And then on the other part of my life, you've got the phobic fear that there is a guy, I don't even want to mention his freaking name. He's a Muslim. He's a Muslim leader. And he is going around telling people that you can actually catch being gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender in drinking water. Because people don't understand it, they believe him. Just out of hand believe him. They're not researching anything. They're not looking for evidence of the truth. They're suffering from the worst kind of cognitive dissonance that I've ever seen in my life. Like, the proof is there. The proof is there, and the lack of proof is there that there's nothing to fear. Yet, people fear it anyway because of what somebody else whispered to them, and it sounded up their alley in their psyche, and so now they're afraid. Fear causes war. Fear causes division. Fear causes stoppage of the spirit. Fear, and you know what the worst kind of fear is? The fear you don't even see that's there. You just act out of it. You don't even see it. It's just, it's in this area called you don't know that you don't even know it. In life, there are things we know, and there's things that we know that we don't know. We actually literally know that we don't know how to accomplish them or do them. I can't fly a plane, but I know I can't. I can't fix a car, but I know I can't fix a car. Now, I can work the hell out of a computer. I know how to fix computers. So, but there's an area in life that the series of seminars that I'm doing is working on. It's called the area that you don't know that you don't even know, that you don't know it. That is where the breakthroughs occur. You don't even know it. That technology has a way of getting back, way back in the recesses of your psyche and your subconscious, and lifts the curtain so that you can see something that you never saw before, that you didn't even know it was there. And that area comprises a bigger part of our psyche than what we know and what we know we don't know. We literally know. I mean, how many people do you know? They know how to lose weight. Okay, they know how to do it, right? They know all the things they need to do to accomplish that, but they don't do it. There's something in them they don't know that if they had access to what they didn't know, they could just do it. See? And do it consistently. And do it for the rest of their life. That is the power of the seminars that I'm participating in. Is that it keeps lifting up that curtain in areas that I didn't even freaking see, that I had no idea were there. You know, I have a friend in another state that I keep asking questions of, and whenever I ask her these questions, she doesn't know the answers to them about situations in the past, situations that are happening now, situations in her childhood, situations, just a lot of areas where I don't know if that person has blocked it out or whether they really literally don't know. what happened. Have no idea. And I've also taken people back through their lives to take a look at various little things that happen, and if it scares them, if they're afraid to look, the standard answer to I'm afraid to even look at it is I don't know. But they do know. They're just afraid to look. And so I just had to jump on here because this fear is as big as this planet. There are more fearful people on this planet than there are people who with clearly open minds that don't, that, you know, since I've been a child, I've had this insatiable curiosity. I have had a lot of very strange things happen in my life because I was more curious about it than I was afraid of it. I was curious. I was so curious about how to ski. I used to be a snow skier, and I skied the Alps in Switzerland. I got a trip to Switzerland, and I was more curious about how I would get down this freaking mountain without knowing how to parallel ski than I was afraid of going down that mountain. Now, when we got off the gondola at the top of it, I went up there with a bunch of guys, and they took off and left my ass on that mountain standing there looking because I couldn't see anything. I just saw, and then sky. I almost got back on the gondola to ride back down, but that curiosity of whether I could get down that thing or not took over versus the fear of going down this mountain that I could not frickin' see how steep it was, and I couldn't see I couldn't see where everybody else went. It took me an hour and a half to get down that mountain, and I'm sure those guys probably got down that thing in 30 minutes because they knew how to ski that way. I didn't. I'd never seen a mogul in my life. I didn't even know how to ski down a mountain like that. And my silly ass went over moguls instead of around them because I didn't know how to ski moguls. I didn't know how to parallel ski. And yeah, so I've had a lot of things happen in my life, and it goes way beyond that, my level of curiosity. I'm more curious about everything than I am afraid of anything. Poke around to see how something works. Poke around to, like that. That's how I've lived my life for the most part, is not being too much afraid of anything unless it was truly, truly dangerous, where it would literally kill me. Like, who isn't afraid to stick their freaking finger in a light socket? You know, that kind of fear is healthy. But the kind of fear, because that'll get you killed if you try it, right? But the kind of fear that is going on this planet right now is all-consuming. People don't even know they're walking around with it. They think that if they've got the right job, the right house, the right career, the right partner, the right car, the right amount of money, the right this, the right that, all of the outside dressing, they think if the outside dressing is all looking perfect, that they don't have any fears that are stopping them from being even greater than they are. You know, these seminars are also great because there's this saying that I used to believe before I did them, which was you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That people are set in their ways. That people are so set in their ways that they get comfortable and complacent. And anything that looks like it's going to jolt them out of that reality of you can't teach old dogs new tricks, they won't even fucking try it. Not realizing that on the other side of that is this something that they'll never ever see unless they go there. They'll never experience that level of jubilance. They'll never experience that level of happiness. They will never experience anything beyond what their risk meter tells them to experience, you see. And many people's risk meters are very, very, in a very small box. It just includes this, that, and nothing else. And they will not risk, even if it's going to cause them, even if it's in a very positive direction, they're not going to believe it because it's in that area that they don't know that they don't know it. They don't know what's beyond what they can, or what they already know. They don't know what's beyond that. Maybe they think it's a black hole or a bottomless pit if they jump outside of what they know and what they know they don't know. That, oh, that's too scary to tamper around with areas that you don't know shit about. But because somebody told you, you know what, there's something really, really great on the other side of that, you say, nah, I don't think so, because I can't see it. I don't know. Because they don't know it. I would get into that stuff, specifically areas of my life that I had no idea, that I didn't even know it. I didn't see it. Like the effects of being treated like a girl, what those effects had on me. I did not see that stuff until around 2013. Now, I experienced it, but I didn't see it in a totality called, look at where you're stopped in life. I didn't see that. And it wasn't until I saw a trans man on TV that stuff began to stir, and then I immediately got afraid of it. Because I didn't understand it. I was afraid. Even though all those memories were mine. All those experiences were mine. All the things I thought of when I was a kid, when I was a boy, were mine. All of the things that I used to cover that stuff up were mine. But I didn't see it in a way like a fish doesn't know the water it's swimming in. It doesn't know what's in the water because the water is normal, right? That's normal. Whatever's in that water is normal to them. And they can't see the water they're swimming in unless you take them out of the water and turn them around and have them look at that water. Then they can see it's actually water that they're in, and then they can see what's in the water. Well, there is a technology that can pull you out of the water, have you turn around and look at what you're swimming in, called your consciousness, called your psyche, called all the stuff that is flying around in there that's preventing a great life from being an extraordinary life, or making a bad life a good life, or making a social life a great life. I mean, human beings can always go further than they think they can, in a positive direction, that is. They can also go further than they think they can in a negative direction. But see, I chose years and years ago that whenever I can catch myself, I will always go in a positive direction. I will always try to go this way versus streaming against the flow of my psyche and going backwards. Now, have I fallen down? Yeah, but I always got up and set the goalpost a little further. That's just how I'm wired. That's just how I'm wired. And somebody else asked me another question. So I was talking with a white woman about this business, about my business, being pro-black. And she said, I don't see that. I don't get that. Why would you, pro-black, what is that? Why would anybody be that? Then I had to give another lesson. And, well, if you're white, you're not going to see it. You're not going to understand it. And you're going to be afraid of it because it just sounds scary, right? It doesn't mean half the things you think. I said, let me ask you this. Do you think being pro-black means you're anti-white? And she said, well, yeah, kinda. And I said, well, it doesn't mean that. Being for something doesn't mean automatically you're against something else. It just means you're for that. Okay? Think of all the sports enthusiasts around the world. When they're for, well, okay, that's a bad example, because if you are for a particular team, you're going to be against the other team. But in this instance, pro-black doesn't mean you're anti-white. Doesn't mean you're anti-anything. It just means you're pro-black. You're into the empowerment of black people. Or you're into whatever you're into, right? Pro-white, whatever. Pro-anything means you're for something. Doesn't necessarily mean you're against something else. So she was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. I said, because you don't have to. We think of this stuff every day because we have to. And she said watching the news, watching the current events, watching what's going on stresses her out. And I said, stresses you out, huh? Well, you can afford not to look at that stuff, but we're affected by it every day. What is going on out there can happen to us at any time, any day, 24 hours a day. This is a stressor in our life. That some bullshit that's happening out there to a black person can happen to us. We live with that every day. So imagine how much stronger you'd have to be if you were forced to watch that stuff and have talks with your children to tell them how to behave around the police and to behave around scared white people. Imagine having to live like that all of your life. She wouldn't be able to tolerate not this much of that. Why? Because of white privilege. She doesn't have to. Ain't nobody scared of her. Yeah, and then it goes into sexism, too. You know, they're less afraid of women than they are men anyway. And who's ruling the world? A bunch of men. So, and oh boy, I got real off the subject of fear, but not really. I mean, this all falls into the realm. Oh, also had another guy who I was talking to about this business, and he was suddenly concerned about it too, saying, well, I don't get it. I said, well, there isn't anything for you to get. I gave an example of Gandhi to him. I said, nobody said anything when all he was about were Indian people in India. Nobody had a problem with that. So why in the United States, when there are people here who are concerned about our welfare, which only seems to be us, do people suddenly get concerned that any of us would want to be for us? Because we're in the biggest melting pot in the world, so what? That doesn't mean we haven't been shit on for over 400 years, because we have been the underclass of this country since we were brought here. And we continue to this day. Yeah, they raised the... There's another phenomenon that goes on where, you know what, the rules and the laws are here, and then when they get scared, they raise them up here and say, okay, now y'all jump over that one. And every time we try to get close to getting out of this mess, they raise the bar. And their ceiling is way up there somewhere where our ceiling is here. That's why you don't hear of very many black billionaires. There's a whole lot of white ones, but you don't hear of a bunch of black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American billionaires. There's a reason for that, and it's fear. Fear that there's not enough abundance on the planet. Not enough to share. Not enough to make things fair and equitable. Not enough. There's not enough. There's this mentality of there's not enough. There's not enough resources. There's not enough money in the world that would make rich people not afraid to raise that ceiling for other kinds of people, you see, including their own. You know, there's an underclass for a reason. But poor white people still are more privileged than poor black ones. Do the math. Don't argue with me. Do your research. Do your homework. Look it up. If you don't believe it, then you suffer from consonant dissonance, whatever that word is. You suffer from the evidence is there and you still want to deny the truth. Economics in this country, there's raw data on the very same person with the same skill set, the same dilemma, the same circumstances, the same everything. If they're black, they're worth less money than when they're white. Exact same life circumstances. Now, it's going to take a little digging for you to see why it's that way, but it is. We don't have the economics to pass generations and generations of things down to our children. We don't have that, not in the United States. They may in other countries, but if they're black, I doubt it. If they're melanated, if they're melanin, no. Even in Africa, they call it, there is no middle class in those countries. You're either rich or you're poor, and it doesn't matter what color you are. There's just this hierarchy, patriarchy going on there that was created by the British, and the people who invaded Africa colonized that continent. And so they operate like most every other place operates, with this patriarchal structure. And in order for people to stop being afraid, see, they're not even going to let the possibilities happen. But I venture to say that what's possible is still possible in the face of all of these things going on, including racism, white supremacy, white nationalists, all this stuff going on around the world. There are organizations right now that are ramping up because of fear. They don't understand what's going to happen, so they're automatically afraid of it. You know what we need? We need some fucking alien intervention in this world. we need to know we're not alone, and there's other intelligence out there besides us. Then we can stop fighting each other to fight the aliens. Either way, it's going to be a fight because they're going to be afraid. They're not going to understand that there's other intelligence in the universe besides human beings. Oh, that's gonna cause a lot of panic if that ever happens. And I watch a lot of movies that are in that arena. Yeah, I do. Because it's fascinating to me to contemplate the possibility that we are not the only intelligence in the universe. And whatever can see us, we can't see them because our technology isn't good enough to get out there to really, really investigate other planets. Our technology isn't good enough in this world to do that. We've only gotten man to the moon, right? But we can only send vehicles to other places, and they can't see entire planets with them little vehicles they drop down on the surface of those planets. Some of them can't even tolerate the atmosphere of those planets or whatever is going on those planets. They don't even bother dropping anything down there. And guess what? All the NASA programs have been virtually eliminated so that we don't know what's out there anymore. There's no more money and funding to find out what could be out there, and that the universe may be even bigger than I'm not even going to say maybe. I'm absolutely sure it's bigger than we know it is. It's out in that area called you don't know that you don't know. That the universe could be much bigger than we think it is. We only know it as far as we could see it, right? Well, there's a lot of things in life that are, but you can't see with your eyes. That is where miracles happen. That is where the spectacular happens. That's where visions are. That's where all the visionaries think and live in their mind, is in the areas that nobody else is bothering to look at or dream as a possibility. How many adults are out there right now? How many of you watching this video have just completely squashed your dreams? Didn't think they were possible because you couldn't see them. You just stopped dreaming. You stopped being a visionary of your own life because of circumstances. Do you know what I'm doing right now did not fit in my world of what I thought I could do? I didn't think I could do this. None of it. But throughout periods of time in my adulthood, I've been taught how to pick myself up out of that water, turn around and see, oh no, reach for the stars. The only limitations we put on ourselves are it's in our mind, and usually covered up by that word fear. Usually fear of the unknown, fear of what we do know that we can't. You know, I was told early in my sobriety to take that word out of my vocabulary, the word can't. Either you will or you won't. But there's very little in life we can't do. And in the areas that I can't do, I don't care about anyway. You know, I don't. You know, I've learned to accept certain things about myself that will never change. And then the things that I can, I do. Oh, reminds me before I end this video. So yeah, early on in my sobriety, I was terribly afraid of the religious aspect of Alcoholics Anonymous without realizing that what they did was combine religion and other practices into a kind of spirituality that wasn't religious. But they use pieces of it. So there is a prayer called the St. Francis prayer that I used a lot in my first, I'd say, 5 years of sobriety, where I attempted to understand things and people and situations more than I wanted to be understood. That I loved people's circumstances, situations, things, without needing to be loved. But anyway, if anybody wants to go look at that prayer, it's out there in different. It's spoken in different ways, and it is spoken in a particular way in the I think the 12 by 12 of Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step programs. And I attempted, when I read all that stuff, I took it literally. And I would just try it out like a Coke. Try it on. See how it fits. See what would happen. See what would happen if I used it practically. I'm more of a, I turn most things into something practical because I don't believe in organized religion. I do not. I think it is poisoning the world. I think everybody who practices some form of organized religion thinks that their religion is the religion to believe. And I think that's really narrow-minded and causes you to have tunnel vision and not an open mind. You know, the only reason why I call God God is because it's convenient. I could, if it wasn't a 3-letter word, I would call God something else, but that's just easier to describe something that is undescribable, that I know is a driving force in my life. It's just easier to call it that. But when I first got clean and sober, I believed in the universe. I didn't even believe in God. I was agnostic. I didn't know what to believe. But then something supreme kept revealing itself to me as being more powerful than me. So I was able to see it and attach that phenomenon and the things that kept happening in my life to a God type spirit. God is a spirit. So anyway, I've dumped a whole lot in here for people to think about. And that, people fear what they don't understand. And with that, I have everybody have a great week. I know I'm going to. Last week was just such a blessing to me. I had such a good time. I had some breakthroughs. I finally landed and nailed the mission statement for my business because of something else I did that I didn't know that was going to happen. I just keep trying to make my box bigger. I keep jumping out of my box called what's reasonable, what I know and what I know I don't know. And wallowing around in the area that's not very comfortable because everybody likes to be in control, likes to think they're in control of everything. And I learned that I found a little bit of comfort in being uncomfortable and stretching myself to my limits. Stretching myself beyond my limits, what I could see. With that, everybody have a good one, and talk with you later.